Hello guys, welcome back. I'm still on Usman's account. If you have watched my previous video on his account, he has absolutely insane Cameo collection. I'm still trying to figure out if Cameo is a total scam or not. In the last video, we basically maxed out Takeda's Cameo and came to the conclusion that the thing that matters the most is not the fusion, is not the level, it's actually the debuffs and the levels of those debuffs. For example, the only thing that affects the power of the duration of the debuff, the only thing that affects is the level of the ability that applies this debuff. So if you want the maximum duration of buffs or debuffs, you have to max out the level of the attack, which is done with Dragon Crystals, unfortunately. So this is why it's very important to choose which characters you want to max out abilities for, because you don't want to spend your Dragon Crystals on every cameo out there. You want to pick the ones that are the best and invest into them. And don't worry about the fusions. Fusions don't really matter. The only thing fusions do is reduces the cooldowns on every attack by 2%. It barely does anything. So it's something that you work towards long term, but the biggest impact you're gonna get is from upgrading the cameo attacks. So in this video, I want to share my thoughts about which cameo attacks are the best and which ones you should focus on upgrading first. If you're looking for the best of the best cameos, it doesn't exist. In my opinion, there is no one cameo that is just better than everybody else. Each cameo has a specific set of debuffs and buffs that can complement your current team. And since everybody has different teams, they're gonna need different cameos to complement their teams. But I will try to use this video to give some tips and pointers on what do I think is the most important in cameos and how to pick the right cameo for your team. So first of all, I do have my personal top 5 cameos that I'm definitely going to be investing all my resources if I ever get them. I'm going to show them right now, but first I just want to tell you how I arrive at those cameos. First of all, the best ones are going to have all 3 debuffs. For example, this classic Jade. If you look at here, all of the abilities, basically there is 3 abilities. One is regular special 1, one is enhanced special 1, and one is special 2. So you want all 3 to have buffs or debuffs. If they don't even bother. Because there are so many, especially like basic gold card cameos that have absolutely, like some cameos have like two abilities that are basic. Like, for example, let's take a look at some basic gold cards. I don't know. Let's go for Kun Lao. He has basically just regular damage and special 1. If there is one thing that I learned about cameos from playing with maxed out diamond cameo is that damage is not that important in cameos. It's not gonna even come close to damage you do with your special attacks. The damage is not the point. The debuffs and buffs, that's what can make cameos very useful. And the question you should ask yourself when you're picking the cameos for your teams is, what does this team lack? Is there something that I want this team to do? Potentially apply certain buffs or debuffs that I'm not willing to sacrifice any gear slots for. For example, I would love to be able to apply more dots on one of my teams that I use a lot. I just feel like it needs more dots. Then I would go for a dot cameo. Or, for example, I would love this team to be able to apply snare. It just doesn't do enough snare, and I constantly find myself needing more snare in battles. Then I would go for the snare cameo. So, in my opinion, there's no best snare because there is a snare for different situations that's going to be the best. But there are absolutely worthless snares that you should never invest into. So that's what we're going to try to determine in this video. So first of all, as I said, do not waste your resources on snares that don't have all 3 buffs and debuffs. That's just my opinion. There's plenty of the ones that do, and there is plenty of the ones that are decent, but there is no point. Dragon Crystals are super valuable. It takes almost 500 crystals to max out a cameo, which means you can literally open so many new packs to try to get another cameo with that amount of crystals. There's no point putting crystals into cameos that don't have 3 debuffs, because you're not going to be using them long term. Alright, enough talking. Let's do my top 5. First of all, I'm going to filter them by diamonds, because diamonds are the best cameos. If you were lucky to get a diamond cameo, it's most likely... Most of them have all 3 buffs and debuffs. Some of them don't, which is strange to me. But most of them do. So, first of all, my top 5. We're gonna start with MK1 Kenshi. Now, why do I think this is one of the best cameos in the game? Because it's the only cameo in the game that can apply Deathmark with his regular special one. And if there is one thing that there is not many ways to apply is Deathmark. There is no reliable way to apply it. There are some gear, and there is Deathmark talent, but like those don't trigger whenever you need it the most. Obviously, there is Noob Saibot that can apply lots and lots of Deathmark, but not every team will have Noob Saibot. Having Kenshi's cameo will allow you basically access to Deathmark every, I don't know, like 30 seconds or so. 24 seconds at Fusion 3. So I would say it's probably like 26, 28 seconds. In the battles that it takes only 1, if you know that the characters have a potential to resurrect, just popping this little death mark that cannot be avoided by your enemy and then finishing them with a special attack is, in my opinion, one of the most powerful things that cameos can do. Kenshi, in my opinion, is one of the best cameos. So if you pulled him, definitely use him. He is absolutely incredible. Now, let's talk about MK1 Shang Tsung. This guy is unique because he's the only cameo that can apply incurability. And we all know that there are certain battles where you want as much incurability as possible. Not to mention that the rest of his kit is extremely powerful. Snare on a regular special one is so good. When you, like, so close to finishing your enemy and you're just afraid they're gonna escape, pop that snare, they're not going anywhere. Also, ability to poison the entire enemy team is so powerful. And once again, incurability, the more the better. It's so good. This guy is absolutely a star. There is one more character that can apply incurability. It's Spawn, but right now Spawn is not obtainable. If you watched my previous video, there are certain cameos that do not exist inside the cameo summon pack. And these are the cameos. Except David the Jade. Pretty sure she does exist. Usman just wasn't lucky to get her. But basically the cards that are exclusive to certain packs, their cameos apparently are also exclusive. I already ranted about it in the last video, so I'm not gonna do it now. But if in some point they introduce Spawn's cameo is absolutely godly. Because once again, it can also apply incurability. It also can apply shield break, which, once again, shield break on cameo is, in my opinion, very powerful. You're probably most likely not going to have gear that applies shield break unless you're running a very specific setup, and shield break can increase your damage by a lot. Just popping this cameo and then like using your special 2 that does a lot of damage, you have potential to like double your damage from your special attacks if you apply shield break. Also, Oblivion, not a huge fan, but why not? Once per match, might as well apply Oblivion. But honestly, I think that MK1 Shang Tsung is better overall. So yeah, definitely deserves to be in top 5 best cameos in my opinion. Another cameo that is absolutely godly is Classic Reptile. If you got him, definitely max out his cameo. He is such a versatile card. He can apply poisons every, let's see how many seconds, like 26, 28 seconds probably at Fusion 0. It can go up to like 22 seconds. It's probably like 25 seconds when not maxed out. 25 seconds, and the poison also can be applied on special 2, which is like he is a poison king in his regular form and in his cameo form. So it's one of the best. First of all, in my opinion, poison is the best dot. for the cameo, because it's also works not just like as a dot, but also works for stopping regeneration, which can be very useful in a lot of different battles. They will not heal anything. And also, this guy has healing on his enhanced special one, which means once per match, you will have a chance to heal your entire team. And his heal is so powerful. It heals a lot of health. This in Crypts, in Survivor, anywhere. It's basically like free health every single run that you do. It's absolutely busted. One of the best cameos in the entire game, in my opinion. Moving on. Classic Raiden. You might be wondering, how do you know all these cameos? Well, I'm gonna be honest, I recorded this video before, and by the end of the video, I kept changing my mind multiple times, so I decided to re-record it from scratch and just use the knowledge that I gained to basically not stumble as much and just be more precise with my reasoning. So, Classic Raiden, let me explain. Dispel. How many pieces of gear you know that give you ability to dispel? Obviously, if you're playing Raiden on your team, he can dispel, but what if you don't? What if you got snared by a very nasty character and you know that you don't escape? If you don't escape right now, you're gonna lose the character. Well, guess what? Press that special one on your cameo, do the spell, tag out. What if you got like insane amount of dots on you and you just want to rinse them because your character is melting away? Press the cameo, dispel. Dispel is so hard to get if you don't have it on your special attacks. You literally will never run the gear that has dispel. There's just no good gear that has dispel on it. And having it on your cameo, especially in the battles that have like heavy dots, if you're fighting a dot team or if the modifier applies lots of dots to you, being able to dispel is so powerful. Now, once per match, you will be able to gain power generation for your entire team, and power in this game is everything. It's super powerful to have, like, I always do Raiden's X-Rays because power regen increase is so freaking powerful. Being able to do this once per match in cameo is gonna be tremendous. And his special 2, he applies Weaken, which is, in my opinion, a pretty decent defensive debuff. When somebody attacks you, you block their attack, you apply Weaken, which means you protect yourself for a while from other upcoming attacks. I think he has a very, very powerful kit. So, yeah, Classic Raiden, if you got his cameo, definitely max it out. It's incredible. Now, the next one is going to be surprising. I was shocked myself, and it's going to be Cold War Scarlet. As a character, I never play her. I don't know, she doesn't excite me, but her cameo is actually busted. She is a queen of bleed. If you want a strong dot character and you don't have Classic Reptile, which in my opinion is better, this is the second best thing you can get. First of all, bleed. You can do bleeds on her regular special, and you can do a whole team bleed, so she will help you melt those enemies if you are going for a dot setup. Once again, you don't need dot setup every single battle, but in a lot of, like, if you just want to get through the battles quicker, having a dot cameo is actually very useful. If you don't need any special skills, just use a dot cameo just to make the fights easier and faster, because, like, for example, you're running MK11 Scorpion, you can run this girl with him to apply extra bleeds to all his fires, or run Classic Reptile to apply extra poisons to all his fires. Also, she can heal on special too. Like, there is nothing that makes more sense when you get attacked by a special attack to block it, to not get damaged, and to get some healing from it as well. So you literally get healed by enemies doing special attacks to you, which is extremely OP. So I think Cold Scarlet has one of the best kits in the entire game, offensively, and she has some defensive capabilities as well. Now let's talk about Freddy Krueger. Freddy Krueger actually has pretty good kit, but right now his cameo is not in the pack. Hopefully they'll fix it in the future. Right now it's impossible to obtain. He has Snare on Special 1. Snare on Special 1 is one of the most powerful things you can have on the cameo. Like, there's so many cases where you just want to snare a character, and this guy does it perfectly. He can apply Team Fire for a little bit of extra damage, extra dots, And shield on special 2, once again, it's the most natural thing. You get attacked, you get a shield. Get extra protection from exuberant enemies that are trying to put you down. Very powerful kit. If we ever get him, get his cameo available, I highly recommend maxing it out. Now let's take a break from the best cameos in the game, and let's talk about what cameos I would recommend to avoid. And if you got one, which cameos I would suggest you not invest any dragon crystals on. Let's find an example. Now this is going to be extremely controversial, but I do not like cameos that have snare and special too. Think about it. You're getting attacked by a character. You block the attack, which you probably should always do. I mean, you have a choice to block it, like basically parry it and activate this ability, but you also have a chance now. So you're not forced to do the snare, but the thing with snare is I want to have precise control over when I snare the character. Sometimes you don't want to snare. Sometimes you actually want the character to tag out, and accidentally snaring them when you didn't mean to, when you're just trying to protect yourself from a special attack, that might not be beneficial many times. I would personally, for myself, I would not use a cameo that has snare as a special 2, but I would absolutely love to have snare in special 1 where I have full control on when to deploy it. And thankfully there is lots of characters with snare in special 1. There are some characters that just blow my mind, like MK11 Shang Tsung has absolutely nothing on his special 1 or special 2. That's just mean. That's just not cool. Like, what the hell? MK11 Shang Tsung, one of the worst diamond cameos, just because he has vampirism, which is, I guess, decent, but then he has nothing on special 1 or special 2. Who cares about the little damage? We care about the buffs and debuffs. Now let's talk about stun and freeze on special 1. I have seen a lot of people saying that that's like the most OP thing in a comment, and I have to disagree. I do not like having stun or freeze on special 1. Think about it. You will be able to deploy it every 30 seconds or so, and what benefit does it give you? First of all, half of that stun is going to expire by the time the characters switch back, and then, in my opinion, stun is only useful in the game if you are actually running a stun team. Like if you have a stun loop, like a Scorpion team, or maybe you have a freeze loop. Otherwise, I don't see the benefit of getting a random stun every once in a while in the battle. It just doesn't seem helpful. Like, it's helpful, but there's so many better things to have than stun on special 1. I can see battles where dots would be powerful in special 1. Snare is always good in special 1. Stuff like shield break, even, on special 1. I just don't think stun or freeze offer massive benefit to put them on your cameo. That's just me. Now, I don't like cameos that have a special 2 that does not actually make sense. I mean, special 1, extended version that does not make sense to apply to the entire enemy team. For example, blind. First of all, blind itself is one of the most unreliable debuffs. So if the cameo is based on blind, and there are certain cameos that have both of their attacks as blind, which makes no sense to me. But even if one of them is blind, unless the rest of their kit is incredible, I would not go for blind. And also, if it's something that doesn't make sense to apply to the entire team, and you're not going to get any benefit from it, I wouldn't go for it either. For example, what is the benefit of applying slow to the entire enemy team? Because, like, who cares that the other 2 guys are slow back then? I mean, granted, you might get lucky and you will get, like, somebody take out and take into the next character. They're also going to be slow. But, like, for something you can do only once per match, I feel like I want to have a little bit more impact on it. So I would not recommend Joker, especially him having stun on special 2. I just don't see enough benefit. There's also certain debuffs that I just don't think are valuable enough to put like, if the whole cameo is based on it. For example, luck. I don't think luck is that great to basically base your whole Cameo on it. It's a decent debuff, but there's just better things to put on your Cameo. Curse. I don't think Curse is good enough either. Cripple. Cripple is a good thing. Like, you want your enemies crippled, but the thing is, if you can only apply Cripple every 30 seconds, you're not going to get much benefit from it, because once the Cripple expires, they still generate power, and they're still going to wreck you with its special attacks. So you might as well put something useful that's going to help you control the fight better. I like Cripple on Classic Liu Kang because it allows me to apply Cripple basically by just tagging, something that you do all the time, and you can literally keep your enemies crippled. In my opinion, if you have to, like, put, especially here when the cripple comes in a kit with 2 blinds, that just doesn't seem powerful enough. If cripple comes inside a very strong kit, I will take it, but by itself I don't think it's that useful. Weaken on Special 1 could be useful, but like, if you're about to get hit, there are so many better ways to avoid it. You can, for example, you can cripple them. You can set them on fire to drain their power. I don't think Weaken is worth it to have on a Cameo. Okay, Power Drain. Power Drain is interesting. I can totally see in enraged battles, or sometimes like you have a character they're about to do X-ray to you. Maybe you have them crippled, but you still need to drain just a little bit of power. So having that Power Drain on Special 1 could be useful. So I would recommend getting 1 Power Drain Cameo, just not Assassin Kitana. Her kit is terrible. To be honest, there's no good Power Drain cameos with regular Special 1 Power Drain. I guess if I were to choose one, I would probably go for classic movie Johnny Cage. Like, it's not a great cameo, but if you need Power Drain, you need Power Drain. You could also go for Ronin Kitana. She could apply Bleed every once in a while, and not a fan of Blind, but at least Power Drain is solid. So yeah, this is pretty much it. Now, you might be wondering, Star and Sky, why you filter them by diamonds? Do you hate gold cameos? And the simple answer is yes. Yes, I do not think that there are good gold cameos. There's a few exceptions. Let me show you a couple that I think are decent. Classic Jade is pretty decent. If you really don't have anything better, she could be a good snare cameo with potential to get some luck and maybe even cripple. Not the best, but once again, gold cards, for some reason, I haven't seen one that has like a godly kit like my top 5 diamonds. Even though the funny thing, debuffs are as powerful on gold cameos as on diamonds. Like, the bleed from the gold card will do the same damage as the bleed from a diamond card. It's all about the level. If they're the same level, they're gonna do the same damage. Same about the duration of the debuff. So technically, it doesn't matter if the card is gold or diamond for the debuffs, but for some reason they didn't give any godly kits to any of the gold cards. Okay, I take it back. I found a good Power Drain cameo. It's Lizard Baraka. This is the best Power Drain cameo. If you need a Power Drain cameo, forget diamonds. Get Lizard Baraka cameo. It looks probably one of the best gold cameos just looking at it right now. Adenian Blood Sindel has a pretty decent kit. Nice snare. Once again, I would only invest into her if you don't see yourself getting any better diamond cameos with a snare. But she's decent. She can do some dots, she can do snare, and lock on Special 2, I guess, is not the worst. Adenian Blood Rain is pretty decent. He can do very solid dots and power regen on Special 2. Like a budget version of Cold War Scarlet. Surprisingly, Scorched Baraka is also decent power draining cameo. If you don't have Lizard Baraka, this could be a budget version for you until you get Lizard Baraka. Elder God Kenshi, also decent power drain cameo. Not a fan of the Curse on Special 2, but power drain and power regen, pretty powerful Special 1. Kraken Reptile is also budget version of the Healer and Poisoner. He's not as good as Classic Reptile, but once again, dots plus heal your entire team once per game. He could be a solid budget healer until you get a better diamond cameo for the healer. Slow on the second attack. It's actually not bad. Slowing down your enemy is always a good thing. Same with Nimble Reptile. I would say he's even better. So gold reptiles are actually very strong cameos. If you got one, I would probably choose one. If I had to choose one, I would choose Nimble Reptile, but either will do. Like, the poison and the healing is the main part. The speed is just a little bonus. If you want to go all the way into poison, basically Noxious Reptile has the same kit as the classic Reptile, and for all intents and purposes, it will do slightly less damage on his attacks, but it will do exactly the same buffs and debuffs with the same power as classic Reptile. So if you got him, I would definitely go for him. It's so worth it. Slasher Jason also has a sick cameo. Look at that. 3 bleeds. That's gonna, if you have a gold team and you want some extra dots, if you don't have like a Kill Him and Scorpion or somebody to melt enemies, this guy can actually deal some insane damage with his cameo. But it's not available in the game right now once again, but hopefully it will be in the future. Unstoppable Jason, decent cameo once again. Not spectacular, but you can heal, you can team bleed and gain some strength, which for this guy is actually pretty good. A few honorable mentions. M11 Scarlet is decent. I still think that the Cold War Scarlet is better, but this one can melt as well. Same as Assassin Scarlet. I would probably take the Cripple over the Strength on Special 2, though. Pretty decent cameo for MK1 Scorpion. Very decent kit. Ravenous Melina is decent as well. Not a fan of Curse on Special 1, but Team Bleed and healing kind of makes up for it a little. Sub-Zero MK11, pretty decent cameo as well. The only cameo that has Frostbite, unfortunately can only apply it once to the entire team, but that could be very helpful in crypt runs, for example. Circle of Shadow Liu Kang, solid snare and damage. Pretty good kit, very versatile. Black Dragon Cabal, once again, decent kit. I would probably invest if I didn't have any better options. Black Dragon Tremor is okay. Nothing spectacular, but could be useful. Has some defense and offense. Classic Liu Kang, I hate to say it, he's just decent. It's a decent cameo. Nothing spectacular, but could work in a pinch for some nice damage. Basically, the only character has double fire in the Special 1. Now, Darkest Night Noob Saibot is not available right now as a cameo, but he does seem to have pretty interesting kit. Snare and Regeneration. So he can snare and heal the entire enemy team. Arguably, probably the best cameo in the game. Let's be honest. Snare and Regen on Special 1 combo. Absolutely broken for any game mode. Unfortunately, not available right now. That's why I didn't make it into my top 5, but when it is available, it would definitely be in my top 5. Also, I'm not sure about the Special 2. It shows the madness, but it does not apply, doesn't say madness on this screen, so I'm guessing it doesn't do anything. His Special 2, unfortunately, doesn't do anything, but it's okay because his Special 1 is definitely the best one in the entire game. So overall, he definitely deserves to be on the top. If he had anything at all in Special 2, he would definitely be the best cameo in the game. All right, this is all I got. Pretty much went through every single cameo in the game, shared my thoughts, shared my top 5. Let me know your top 5 in the comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you think is the most important in the cameos that you use? And what is your most strongest cameos that you use all the time? I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much, Usman, and thank you for watching. If it was helpful, click the subscribe button, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.